to Takeover, the most underrated sports debate show on YouTube. And as you saw a little bit earlier, we got a little bit saucy with the intro, but we're back to giving it to you guys.
We got merch now.
Yeah,
we got merch now. That's how you know we're for real. As you know, my name is Josh.
My name is Deandra.
And my name is Kim, and this is Takeover.
So starting with the NFL, after an amazing playoff run by Patrick Mahomes, people are starting to think he's the GOAT. So my question to you guys is he the GOAT?
If you were defining GOAT as most talented quarterback we've ever seen, then absolutely yes. He is 100% the most talented quarterback we have ever seen. All you have to do is just look at the numbers. What is he, like 24 years old? Man's already have a 5,000-yard season, which you don't see a lot of in the NFL, even in a pass-happy league. The only other person that threw for 5,000 that was technically younger than Mahomes was Dan Marino. And we all know where Dan Marino is right now. He's in Canton. So he's got a good start. He had won an MVP at 23. He's taken this league by storm, and he's only really played 2 seasons. Because he won that MVP essentially as a rookie. Because he didn't play his rookie season. He sat behind Alex Smith. So in terms of pure talent, I think that it's very hard to find a quarterback that has had more talent, raw talent, than he has right now. It's hard to call him the greatest of all time because he is 24 and he's only played 2 seasons, and you have to play an entire career really to be considered for that. But in terms of the sheer ability to do things that no one else can do on a football field, he's my number one.
Well, I understand where that's coming from, but I think everyone needs to slow down on the Mahomes greatest thing they've ever seen before, because I just feel like he's only played 2 seasons. We haven't seen the resume that we've seen from these other greats that are actually in Canton from Mahomes. And I think it's incredibly disrespectful to the John Elways, the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings, and especially the Joe Montana. I mean, he came in here to a AFC that was already kind of shaky. The Patriots was falling off. The Ravens were upset. He didn't necessarily have to go against those big challenges. I mean, he did get it done when he was down maybe 24-0. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was spectacular. So, but I mean, when you throw up greats, you're thinking of Brady and Montana originally, right? And then when you look at some of the stats they pulled off, I don't feel like Mahomes has proved that yet. Tom Brady, I mean, he's the quarterback known for doing more with less. Mahomes has honestly the fastest receiving core we may have ever seen. And he has Travis Kelce to top that off, and Andy Reid's his coach on the offensive side of the ball. So, I mean, he has all those things to his aid. I mean, when you look at all those things, I don't think we can really throw him there yet. I think it's way too early. It's premature to call him.
Yeah, because Randy Moss was just mediocre, right? Randy Moss was nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't win the Super Bowl that year. So
yeah, because David Tyree
he came back 25 points in the Super Bowl where he had a lacrosse player playing on his team.
Why?
Versus the Atlanta team. I'm just saying, you want to talk about more with less, and then you want to look at Montana. That's three Super Bowl MVPs, 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in the Super Bowl, and he went undefeated. So
I forgot how annoying you were. I really did.
There's that. Yeah, what you got for us?
So this is not to take away from Patrick Mahomes. He is a great talent, but I can't call him the greatest of all time because, like you guys related to, he's only played really 2 years in the NFL. And it's too early in his career. And when you have assets like Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, and Damian Williams in the backfield, with those type of assets, I think if you give it to other quarterbacks, what would they be able to do with it? As like you have Deshaun Watson, how you have Hopkins, but if you were to give him more on the field, what could he do with assets like that? And you also have to think things can come up as well. Like we saw Cam Newton come in the first year and take the league by storm.
Here he falls off.
Yeah, and not speaking that on him at all, but things happen. We could have Joe Burrow come in and do the exact same thing that he's doing. So,
Okay. Or we could have Tua come in and do that.
Yeah, I mean, either or.
I just think it's premature. It's just too early.
I think that Cam Newton played well in his rookie year. Mm-hmm. But he didn't throw for 5,000 yards, and he didn't throw for 50 touchdowns. You don't just back yourself into that.
I understand that. I'm just using him as an example as he took the league by storm when he came in.
What notable weapons did Cam Newton have?
Didn't he have Steve Smith?
Yeah. Okay, he had Steve Smith that year, and then he had who else? Well, I mean, there's not a lot of weapons Cam Newton had to throw. I mean, he's not the best throwing quarterback, I feel like.
Hey man, sometimes sometimes it's better when you're just thrown in a good situation.
Yeah, I think so.
Sticking with that, good situations. The Super Bowl is in 2 weeks. We've already covered one side with Patrick Mahomes. We're going to go ahead and flip over to the other side of that of this matchup. We're going to talk about the San Francisco 49ers. Specifically, we are going to be talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's in the Super Bowl. He's already technically got 2 rings to his resume. But if you look at what he has done as an individual, some are saying that is a little suspicious. Is he really what some people are kind of cracking him up to be? Has he proven himself yet?
To me, he has. I mean, just like Al Davis said, just win, baby. 6. I mean, he throws 6 for 8 in the Green Bay game. Everyone goes, "Oh, he can't throw. Oh, he's being carried by the team." But I mean, what happens when teams stack the box versus the 49ers and try to kill the run? Well, I feel like my team, New Orleans Saints, learned the hard way. He threw 349 yards and threw 4 touchdowns. Green Bay learned the hard way the first meeting, not the second meeting where they absolutely got destroyed. I mean, they got destroyed both meetings.
I was gonna say
mind.
they were never in the game.
Yeah, never mind.
Regardless,
I don't know what Lambeau's doing over there, but 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he doesn't have to be spectacular. I don't know. Everyone has to be where he has to be like this mobile quarterback who can run and throw. Jimmy Garoppolo just gets the job done. I mean, you want to talk about one of the most elite game managers? That's what I think he is. You can throw Brady in that conversation too, because I'm not saying he's as good as Tom Brady yet. But, I mean, when you look at the things he can do, I mean, he makes the passes you need to. He's going to convert on third down. He's going to make passes to his open receivers. I like the situation he's in. So, I mean, Bill Belichick won it for a reason. And I just think he's a winner, to be perfectly honest. I believe in Jimmy G.
Like you said, Jimmy G is a game manager at best. But when you're practically running the ball the whole season and with a couple of gimmicky plays, I just don't think being a game manager against a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes is going to get it done, especially if we don't know if he's really capable of throwing the ball downfield consistently, but we don't know if he's capable of doing that or if Shanahan just doesn't trust him to do it or they're just not letting him do it. Either way, if the Chiefs defense shows up, he will be forced to throw it down the field. And I feel like if you haven't been doing that all season, what's going to click all of a sudden to make you be able to do it in the Super Bowl? Just some statistics for you from the Green Bay game. Mostert had 29 carries and 220 yards. They rushed for 285 yards, and he had 160 yards, 3 touchdowns in the first half. Jimmy G only threw a total of 8 times in that whole game.
I mean, did he have to throw?
Well, yeah, because they were bleeding the clock in the second half. So
but I'm saying, what if you're put in a situation to where like I said, if the defense shows up?
He's thrown for 350 the first time they did that, and 250.
The only other times he's thrown for over 300 yards was against the Arizona Cardinals. But was that really a challenge?
He did it versus New Orleans.
But you have George Kittle and you have
it's not really
Samuel.
hard to throw for that much against New Orleans.
In the Superdome, I think that's pretty big.
But all I'm saying is, I'm not saying he's incapable of doing it, but I'm looking at way before I look at him. I'm going to look at the offensive line. I'm looking at the secondary and the mind of Kyle Shanahan.
Well, you talked about how Mahomes has been put into a great system. Jimmy G has been blessed with a fantastic system. He's got a high-quality offensive line, Mike McGlinchey on one side and Joe Staley on the other. He's got a 3-headed running back duo that unfortunately lost Tevin Coleman, which, I feel bad for because I kind of miss him. But Raheem Mostert is really coming to his own. Matt Breida's a nice little scat back. You want to talk about weapons? Emmanuel Sanders has never really gotten his due diligence. Deebo Samuel has probably been the best rookie wide receiver in this class. And George Kittle, you could easily make an argument for as the best tight end in the NFL. So he's been blessed with a great system. I think that this season Jimmy G has proven that he is a good quarterback. I don't think he's proven that he's a great quarterback yet. You want to know what he really reminds me of? He reminds me of Matt Ryan. Last time Kyle Shanahan was running, last time he went to the Super Bowl, he was on the Falcons. Matt Ryan is an elite game manager. I've said it. All right, Falcons fans, they're either agreeing with me right now or they are loading their shotguns to come kill me. But Matt Ryan is a game manager. I love him to death, but he doesn't do anything to make your team significantly better. And that's exactly what Jimmy G does. Jimmy G does it very rarely hurts your team. Very rarely does he do a Jameis Winston and just throw a boneheaded interception where you go, what were you thinking? He doesn't lose you games, but doesn't necessarily win you games either. And he's been helped in that regard by having Kyle Shanahan, because Kyle Shanahan, honestly, is the best offensive play caller in the NFL right now. Sorry, Sean McVay, but not making the playoffs kind of put the damper on that. He's been blessed with a great system, and I don't disagree the talent's there, because you have to have talent to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
And these guys aren't just scrubs that they picked off the street. These guys were scouted and they were drafted and were given millions of dollars. But in terms of, is he a great quarterback, that's still yet to be determined.
I feel like the Super Bowl is going to tell us a whole lot about. Moving on to some hoops, the Houston Rockets have seemed to stall a little bit in their pursuit to get a championship this season. Who is the blame for Houston's struggle of late?
Well, it's not just one person. It's a mixture of things. Number one, I want to talk about Coach Mike D'Antoni. The way that he runs this offense reminds me of how Russell and KD did when they were in OKC, where it's like a take-turn type of ball game where James Harden will dominate for one part and then Russell Westbrook will dominate for one part. Rather, as if they come together as a team and they dominate as a team, they will be way more unstoppable. And I think they need to stop relying so much on James Harden, and they lean toward Russell Westbrook to a lesser degree, but a little bit more on James Harden. When you look back at the Spurs in the Golden State game, that's evident that when you double team Harden, it takes the productivity of the Rockets down. If you look at the statistics, he's 28% from the floor, 50% from the three, and 6 of 40. And you may look at the 40 and you're like, oh, okay, he's throwing up 40 shots. But when you get to the playoffs, the refs aren't going to call the games like they usually call it in the regular season. So the shots that you're getting at the free throw line, you're not going to get. Not saying that James Harden can't shoot lights out, because we all know he can. But you have to take those things into consideration, because free throw points do add up just like any other points. And I find it tough to believe that you're going to be able to beat those powerhouse teams in the playoffs when you're ranked 22nd in defense and you're allowing over 100 points per game. Now, if I look at Russ and James Harden individually, I think if Russ would just develop a potent three-point shot, it would be just amazing for the Rockets, because you have James Harden who's shooting lights out. If you take Russ, who makes the pace of the game fast, he can go to the basket and get you 2 points, and have a potent three-point shot, that just makes them even more unstoppable. And for James Harden, he needs to learn how to move without the ball in his hands, because when he gets double teamed, it makes it way harder for people to double team him without the ball than it is with the ball, and you take a lesser chance at making turnovers. So for me, it's championship or bust for the Rockets, because as we look at the OKC team now, they weren't expected to be where they are right now because they lost Russell Westbrook, but they're playing really good right now. So I think.
You said there were a multitude of factors. I think there's only one person to really blame for the struggles right now, and that's Daryl Morey, because he is the guy that put this team together. He willingly traded Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook, knowing that Russell Westbrook has never been an average three-point shooter in his NBA career. He willingly gave up Chris Paul and a bunch of other assets just for Russell Westbrook, knowing that the fit was going to be wonky. And that's really the problem here. I mean, Russell Westbrook, I agree, he should have developed the three-point shot, but he hasn't. And he's like, what, in his 30s now? This is the point where you are what you are. He is what he is. He's not really going to change anytime soon. He's an elite-level slasher, but he can't shoot. So Morey should have known that and he shouldn't have gone for that move, or he should have talked with D'Antoni and kind of worked with him to build this scheme. Because I agree with you, James Harden spends way too much time on the ball. I understand that he is quite possibly the best offensive force that we have seen in the last 20, 25 years, but it's so boring to watch. I was watching him play against the Hawks, and they just sent everybody to the corners, and James Harden just dribbled the clock out and then took a step back three. He did that the last 4 possessions. And he missed like 3 of them. It's not a formula for winning basketball. What they really should do is they should put the ball in Russell Westbrook's hands, let him make decisions, let James Harden have some more catch and shoot threes, and get Russ going downhill. So have everybody play to their strengths. Instead of trying to force Westbrook to become an off-ball shooter, just let him put the ball in his hands a little bit more, let him go to the rim, let him challenge these bigs, because that's one thing he can do. He can put it on anybody's head. I mean, nobody's ever questioned his athleticism. Nobody's ever questioned his ability to put someone on a poster. But they need to let him do that more.
I think the problem is honestly on two people. I'm going Mike D'Antoni and James Harden. Mike D'Antoni has made a culture in Houston where this ISO ball effect has kind of taken over, and you can see it really in the box score. When you look at some of these Houston games, you see maybe Harden has 30, Westbrook has maybe 38, and then you get down to these other guys, PJ Tucker 2,
Daniel House
6, Capella 8 and 8.
Yeah.
That doesn't win games. I mean, you kind of force everyone else to be in a weird predicament where you hold the ball so long to the fact where I can't get in a rhythm to even be relevant in this game. And that's where it kind of comes back to James Harden. A lot of people throw Westbrook shooting under the bus, which I mean he's not the
You're
best
not going
shooter. But you of course not. But the stats for Westbrook in the past game, the past 10 games, he's averaged 30 points and only has shot under 50% in under 2 games in those. So I mean Westbrook has honestly elevated his shooting. What's the problem is it goes back to obviously Harden. Harden's shooting numbers look like concert dates at this point. 9 for 29, 9 of 34, 3 for 12. It's not going to work. If Harden shoots even a little bit better in these games, the Houston Rockets win this game. I think if they get rid of the ISO ball culture and get the ball moving, Westbrook and Harden can be your primary scorers, but you got to get other people involved. I mean, I get taking one off the court and the team gets better off of that. But I mean, if Westbrook drops 50 and Harden drops 30, that's an 80 to a whole team that's scoring all over the board. They're not gonna be able to do that.
There needs to be more balance. Is the biggest thing, because it's all James Harden all the time.
Yeah.
And then when he goes off, it's all Westbrook all the time. Yeah. There's no ball movement. It's boring. Yeah. It's predictable.
Well, thanks for watching. That is the end of episode 1, season 2. I mean, you guys got anything to say?
No, thank you for coming with us this far. We appreciate y'all.
Anything, Josh?
No, not much else to say, man. I'm glad to be back. Not glad to be getting 25-point jokes again.
Oh, that's going to happen all season.
I know.
But I'll see you guys next time.
Tigers are national champions!